Why the left wins, and how you can too. By Withered Rose. From the perspective of the right, the left has had a winning streak for quite some time. Extramarital sex has been normalized, civil rights, which go well beyond the rights we inherited from England and enshrined in our constitution, are now irrevocably law. LGBT+ acceptance has made great strides, and has come into its own as a new, and essential, part of the civil rights movement. Since the 1965 Hart-Celler Act, America has become gradually less white, and what Republican form of government we used to have has dissipated under the weight of oligarchic interests. In short, America has shed much of its English legal inheritance, Christian morality, and demographic stock in favor of civil rights and multiculturalism. There have been, it has to be acknowledged, rightist victories here and there. School choice, Second Amendment, and pro-life bills are a few legislative examples. There are cultural examples as well, such as the success of Tucker Carlson. However, the trend has been, since the end of World War II, America becoming less Christian, losing its English legal inheritance, and seeing a demographic shift away from its historical composition. You may think this is a good thing, or even argue that civil rights, including LGBT+ rights, are Christian. In that case, read this as me praising your success. So, how has the left kept on winning? Some like to attribute its victory to entropy. Maybe it is just civilization breaking down. Mencius Moldbug's famous phrase, "Thul who always swims left," is a good example of this. Evola and Spengler fans would likely agree with this sentiment. Maybe this is the Kali Yuga and maybe Thul who does swim left, but, even if true, this leaves little room for analysis. If the flowers in my garden are dying, you could tell me that this is just entropy, and you would be right. However, it would be more helpful if you told me that my flowers are dying because I habitually forget to water them. While both are true, the latter is significantly more helpful because it points to the specific cause for my flowers are dying, and yes, the flowers in question are rose bushes, and I do water them. Without knowing the cause, I cannot prevent the effect. As with my rose bushes, you might be able to give a true explanation why the left wins, but if it does not finger a specific cause, then it is not useful. Saying it is the Kali Yuga is not even an explanation under its own merits. As we shown, the Kali Yuga has been the only age man has lived in, and to attribute the success of the left to the Kali is to say nothing. Attributing the left's victories to entropy would imply that history is a downward slope, the x-axis being time and the y-axis being order, but we find that history fluctuates between order and disorder. Yet, if you insist upon these explanations being true, then so be it. They are, nonetheless, not useful. A useful explanation for why the left wins, and why the right loses, would mean identifying a specific cause for a specific effect, and b, a cause which is exclusive to the left. Let us, then, define the promotion of trans-inclusivity as a specific effect so that we can isolate a cause. I picked this one as it is Pride Month, and there was a high-profile drag show tailored to children that took place in Dallas this month, so it has been on my mind. It would seem far-fetched to most if you said in the months leading up to the decision of Obergefell v. Hodges that trans inclusion would be right around the corner. Most people simply did not want the government to discriminate against homosexual couples. This want was not always accompanied with the acceptable of homosexuality, and very rarely included the acceptance, or even the knowledge, of trans persons. Very quickly the needle went from 50 miles per hour to 100 miles per hour, and now the affirmation of nature is quickly becoming the moral equivalent of racism. So, how did they do it? For the few liberals and leftists that read this, and I do appreciate you, how did you do it? The general cause is the weaponization of the power of the purse. A recent example can be read about here. President Biden's administration has now made the implementation of trans-inclusive policies, allowing students to use the restroom fitting for their identity, among other things, a requirement for receiving federal funding for school lunch programs. Schools implementing trans-inclusive policies, the effect, has a cause, and at least one of these causes is this specific decision by the Biden administration. Unlike the right, who are very queasy about using the power of the purse, even those cured of libertarianism, the left is more than happy to use the purse to accomplish their goals. Let us look at another example. Take as the effect in question, the reduction of right-of-center influences in politics. Those reading this blog will be aware of social media censorship, so you already know this is a goal of the left. In the era of the Tea Party, that looked like, well, shutting down the Tea Party. To achieve this effect, we can look to President Obama's weaponization of the IRS as the cause. Nonprofits and political action committees that leaned conservative, had Tea Party in their name, or had a record of supporting Tea Party candidates, were targeted for audits, had donor names leaked, and information regarding the family members of organization members were made public. Once again, this is something the right would feel very uneasy about. Did this kill the Tea Party? It was the bullet wound that made the deer limp on until it bled out. In high school civics we are told about the power of the purse. Formally, it is the House of Representatives that has the power to set the nation's budget, but the executive branch, as seen with the Department of Education and IRS, has this power informally. What is not taught is how sexy this power is. With the power of the purse, you can decide the fate of nonprofits, who is taxed, who is not, who gets subsidies and for what projects are pursued by the government, and so on. In short, you can redraw the social map of America. Does money rule the world? No, but can do a good part of that job. It takes saints and heroes of old to resist a trend that has the money spigot flowing in its direction, and all the while those who oppose said trend get a visit by the IRS. Barack Obama was the protege of Bill Ayers, the former leader of the Weather Underground, the most famous leftist terrorist organization in recent American history, and it is likely that Obama passed his knowledge down to Biden. I can be almost certain that Ayers instructed Obama in these tactics. Once Ayers' man got the White House, he used the purse like Ayers used bombs. You can guess what I am going to say next. Should the right decide it's ready to win, all it needs to do is wield the power of the purse. Do what Biden and Obama did, but make that look like child's play. Governor Ron DeSantis took baby's first steps at this when he vetoed funds to the Tampa Bay Rays after the team publicly made anti-Second Amendment remarks. It is not playing nice, but, as Willie Stark from All the King's Men teaches us, nothing worth having can be got with decency. Now, this might be a tad too cynical for me, so let us just settle on nothing in politics can be got with decency. Is this immoral? Is it immoral to point money at good causes and strip immoral causes of their funding? What we are talking about is the application of law and order to the economy. We see here what it takes to prevail in a conflict, and should we not prevail in this conflict, then be prepared to live without our legal inheritance, be a minority in your own country, and be told that Christian morality is on the same level as racism.